But a crooked New York State judge just ruled that I have to pay a fine of $355 million for having built a perfect company.
The irony is rich with this fat mope, having the balls to claim he's a victim of a two-tier justice system. He's right about the two tiers, though. He's just wrong about who's on the short end.
And what really struck me about all of this is just how ironic it is that a guy who has railed against a two-tiered system of justice repeatedly has been afforded the kind of leniency that no one else would ever receive.
There are two kinds of justice in this country, one for the rich and one for everyone else, and even a third one for people who don't look like this. Ask any African American about the two tiers, driving while black, drug cases, or that famous Richard Pryor joke. I went into a prison and saw justice, just us.
I mean, of course there is a two-tier justice system in this country, one in desperate need, by the way, of reform. But it is definitely not tiered in the way that Donald Trump is describing. And he's implying that he is the one who is treated worse, when actually the opposite is true. Just consider that under a New York state law, Attorney General Letitia James could have enforced the nearly $500 million judgment against Trump last month, but she didn't.
Since the very beginning, justice has tiptoed around this squat monkey like he's a 12-year-old farm girl. Comey, Mueller, Garland, all could have dropped the hammer, but didn't because he's a former president. Oh yeah, a former president who attempted a coup against our country. And he's trying it again.
I believe now that that's why they're allowing these people to come in. People that don't speak our language, they're signing them up to vote. And I believe that's why you're having millions of people pour into our country. And it could very well affect the next election.
That's because this is a story about privilege, about access, about race, and of course, about wealth.
I don't need anybody's money. It's nice.
This is not long division. Trump lied on forms that tell you right on the form, if you lie, you'll go to jail. He defrauded banks and New York State by lying on these forms about the value of his multi-million-dollar properties. How did he lie? He told the government they were worth less to avoid taxes, told the banks they were worth more to get loans. You and I do that. We have a roommate for a few years. His attacks on James are slanderous and put her in danger.
Crooked, horrible, the worst, I would say without question, Attorney General in the country, the most obnoxious and the worst Attorney General in the whole country.
And he's violated gag orders that would put you and I in jail. In addition to Letitia James, he's trashed judges.
But a crooked New York State judge.
Again, putting their lives in danger as well.
Amount of money that was put on by a corrupt judge. He ought to be looked at, and James ought to be looked at because she tried to get him. She's like the puppet master of the judge. We're going through this weaponization of our government to try and knock out somebody's political opponent.
Trump is a whiny little bitch that everyone but his hillbilly squad is sick of.
Look at all those cameras. All those cameras. Every stop. I got all these cameras. This never happened to Obama.
Yes.
Bottom line, this was a slam dunk case, and were it you or me, we'd be awaiting a bail hearing instead of parking our fat ass on a pile of stolen documents in Mar-a-Lago.
Likewise, in the election interference case, the Supreme Court hit the pause button so they could take up the absurd argument that a president should be able to do whatever he wants, even assassinate a political rival, and be immune from prosecution. And while justice for Trump in that case is delayed indefinitely, hundreds of his supporters, the people who listened to his lies, have faced prison sentences, hundreds of them. But again, not Donald Trump.
All right, you will hear Trump and Fox News bitch about Biden's documents, but here's the difference. Both Biden and Pence had documents that were sensitive, and when the government asked for them back, they both immediately handed them over.
People know I take classified documents and classified information seriously.
Biden's aides had found 10 classified documents with work that he did when he left the White House.
The Department of Justice says former Vice President Indiana Governor Mike Pence won't face criminal charges related to the discovery of classified documents at his Indiana home.
The case against this spray-tan skin tag, however, is so voluminous as to be shocking. Trump not only stole tens of thousands of documents, he left them laying around Mar-a-Lago like dirty clothes in a freshman dorm room. He bragged to acquaintances that they were top secret, and then, in only a way a sociopath could, claimed he had supernatural powers to declassify them after he left office, and just by declaring they were declassified in his little brain.
A president has the power to declassify.
Correct.
Okay. You had said on Truth Social a number of times you did declassify.
I did declassify, yes.
Okay. Is there a process? What was your process to declassify?
There doesn't have to be a process, as I understand it. You know, there's different people say different things, but as I understand, there doesn't have to be. If you're the president of the United States, you can declassify just by saying it's declassified, even by thinking about it.
This is a slam dunk case, as Jen Psaki points out. This Judge Cannon, appointed by Fatty McFugtussle, also a member of the ultra-conservative Federalist Society, society who believe in an autocratic system of protecting the privileged. She's delayed this trial simply because she can. And as the days move forward, Sniffles here only has to count the days before the election when Cannon and probably the Supreme Court will shut it all down. Now, I ask you, how is that unfair to this tug and dump two-bit criminal? Oh yeah, and this. The Supreme Court is going to hear a case that Trump is immune to stealing documents and attempting a coup by sending thousands of his inbred militia up the steps of the Capitol to hang Mike Pence and stop the certification.
Right here, we're going to walk down to the Capitol because you'll never take back our country with weakness. You have to show strength and you have to be strong.
Real quick question. Imagine if Obama had sicked a Black Lives Matter crowd on the Capitol that day with Trump in office. How big would the funeral have been?
And back in New York, yes, a trial date was circled on the calendar in the election interference hush money case today. That's a big deal. And the judge actually scolded the Trump team and strongly rejected their arguments to delay. But we were supposed to be covering the start of that trial today, and we are not. So no, Trump is not the victim of a two-tiered system of justice in this country. He's been a beneficiary.
Listening to Trump call himself a victim should resonate with people, or should I say, piss off the very people who support him. And that's because Trump's special treatment is invisible to them, because Trump and Fox News lie consistently and wage an unabated attack on the truth.
I think the problem right now is you can't argue with an ignorant mob.
And the truth is this, the media is responsible for allowing this lie that Trump is somehow a victim, to propagate and grow deep roots of anger and mistrust simply because we cover this thing like it's a normal election cycle, when in fact the very core of our democratic republic is at stake. How do I know that? He's saying it out loud.
I want to be a dictator.
Donald Trump said on his first day he's going to be a dictator for a day.
I like that. You probably heard that Ronna McDaniel was hired by NBC, and that set off fireworks on both sides.
And our democracy is in danger because of the lies that people like Ronna McDaniel have pushed on this country. To quote Liz Cheney, Ronna facilitated Trump's corrupt fake elector plot and his effort to pressure Michigan officials not to certify the legitimate election outcome. She spread his lies and called January 6th legitimate political discourse. Look, this isn't about Republicans versus Democrats. This isn't about red versus blue. This is about truth versus lies. Service to the country versus service to one man committed to toppling our democratic system.
And then Geraldo went off as well.
What do you make of it?
Screw them. I mean, I like everyone you just named. I don't know Chuck Todd, but Mika and Joe, and I heard Nicole Wallace said something bad against Ronna McDaniel. I mean, the whole idea is that they were hiring her to be the ultimate insider. And here she gets washed away. She gets drowned by this tsunami of pretentious bull.
Seriously, why not let Tucker come on and say this?
The combined membership of every white supremacist organization in this country would be able to fit inside a college football stadium? White supremacy, that's the problem. This is a hoax.
Or hell, Alex Jones and Aaron Rodgers say Sandy Hook never happened. Sure, NBC, people would watch, but what then? Trump is not a victim, but if you give him enough rope, we soon might be.
You can't let that happen to me.
Who's with me?
Am I wrong?
Damn right.
Yes. Tick-tock, mother. This isn't their Republican Party anymore.
You're in a lot of trouble, Donnie.
Follow, like, and hit notifications as Really American keeps you up to date on the latest Republican cult lie in this very important year. For Really American, I'm Chip Franklin.